Brandon back from DH News. In this segment, we got another surprising guest, Professor Saddam Mohammed from York College. Hey, Professor Saddam, how are you doing today, man?
How's it going, man? It's always a pleasure to meet you, Brandon.
So,
doing some great work.
So, what do you think about the news going on in the world today?
Oh man, interesting place, huh? People getting deported, global warming. We got all that stuff going on.
It's interesting, but we have a new trend starting nowadays called digital humanities. What do you think about those things?
Yeah, I mean, at first, had a great professor once, Professor Silva. She had told me that at first I didn't know what digital humanities really was, but there's a lot to them. Besides technology, there's a lot involved in it, and it's a great field to get into.
So tell me, what's the department that you work at York College?
Well, currently I work at York College at the English department, and we're empowering students to have different types of expression using the internet and finding out how they can, relay information to the world using the digital world.
Are you a full-time professor or adjunct?
Adjunct right now. Definitely looking into it.
So what courses do you teach besides being professor and duties?
I do English 298, but aside from that, I have a little small course where I teach people the history about how books are created.
So what is your job description besides teaching at York College? Or is there any articles you're working on, databases, dissertations, anything?
Well, not at the moment, but at the same time, I like empowering students so they can figure out how they can expand their world. And digital humanities is definitely the way to go.
So can you tell me a little bit what you're familiar with digital humanities with?
Yeah, with digital humanities, not only do we use the internet, but we use different methods. Like we teach the kids how books are binded and how Bibles are created and how they can, find their information in the book that they're looking for in resourceful ways, besides to sitting in a classroom for many hours.
So do you use any technologies in the courses you teach?
Yes, currently I use PowerPoints, I use slides, I use all sorts of digital technologies using the computer and all.
That's interesting. So what types of technology do you utilize in your course? Is there any particular website, programs? Or
right now we're using a blogging system. You might have heard of it as the CUNY Commons.
Oh, the graduate school.
Yeah, the graduate school. So what we're doing is we transition to the undergraduate phase too. So we allow kids to actually expand their horizons. It's nice because every week we do different types of blogs and ways for kids to actually write how they feel about what they read, as opposed to just read it and come in and take a test. We want to make, the humanity stronger, not just good test takers.
Yeah, because technology impacts us every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know you did some great stuff the other day about retro technology. That's good stuff.
Yeah, you saw that on YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Good stuff.
My Michael Bolton addiction and all that.
Oh yeah, your mom, we love her too, from Michael Bolton.
Yep. So what do you do with the technologies in your course?
So first, we want to introduce literature. As you know, the world is lacking a lot of paper books now. I'm going to the digital world. Besides, we would sit in a classroom for multiple hours to try to figure out what a poem says, what a literature piece says. But now we can sit down and actually use, word counts. We can use different thesauruses and dictionaries and other resources to figure out what they're reading and if it's true to what the author said and whatnot.
But how do your students feel about that? Isn't technology making it harder for them?
Well, it's 50-50. We're in a place of time where some students find it very engaging because they like going online and they find the idea easier than to come into the school. But at the same time, as you know, technology has lots of flaws. Like you went from a tape recorder to MP3 players. It's sometimes hard for the students to actually go in there and actually, use the technology, go online. What happens if it crashes?
Because I remember you showcasing us old gramophone with Elvis Presley and everything.
Oh yeah. They had a big, heavy piece, but it's a beautiful piece. But it's definitely hard to use, and that was hard to use already. So now going to the digital world and not having assistance, sometimes it's not easy for the students. But we'll definitely find some sort of medium to reach there.
Do you believe it's better or rewarding to teach with technology as opposed to chalkboard and blackboard?
I like it a lot. I think my students can actually go in and understand what's going on. We all know about Shakespeare. I know you're a big Shakespeare fan. And a lot of kids, when they come in, they say, I don't want to read 500 pages of Shakespeare. They fall asleep. But now actually say, to be or not to be, now they understand the context of the thing. I mean, you could plug it into different softwares and actually see where it fits in, what the author was actually trying to say. So it's very engaging for the students.
Because our fellow Professor Silva, she was telling us about there's a printer that you can feed into the computer and find certain meanings of Shakespeare's works and everything.
Yeah, people are using Twitter. They use hashtags, to pull all this information and actually find the good stuff. So it's great. It's great.
It also helps the critical thinking skills too, if you think about it.
Definitely.
I mean, Dr. Doug Belshaw from his TED Talks, he talked about it, everything, the aid in digital literacies and everything.
Yeah, did you catch that Donald Duck the cartoon? It's definitely like something like.
Because imagine like a Donald Duck cartoon we grew up watching, using something like with remix culture.
Yeah.
And we just put a random radio.
Political agendas and all that kind of stuff. It's largely interesting.
It's like pop culture with our own literature culture and all that and everything.
And kids would actually want to see something like this and then get a lot of information. So.
Like imagine watching CNN. Do people get bored of watching CNN the whole time?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say that right now, Mr. Donald Trump, our president, he calls it fake news, and there's a little clash between certain sides. And digital remixer is nice. You let you see what's really happening.
Because we see pop culture, we see mainstream culture, we see media culture.
Absolutely.
Everything comes together.
It's all together. It's like a big clash.
So, what are the pros and positives of teaching with technology?
Well, the pros are, you like I said, with the context of the material, you get to teach kids, about the humanities in a digital fashion. But I mean, at the same time, with all technology, there's problems. Using the technology itself is one. Access to technology, not every household has a computer.
Are we in the 21st century, though?
Yeah, well, at the same time, with all the political laws and all that kind of stuff, maybe, affordability, money, the economics of it is kind of
$99 a month to pay for an internet bill.
Yeah, and class sizes aren't getting any smaller, so it's harder to reach multiple students at the same time.
Especially your college, I believe you're like 3,000 students already there?
Yeah, 3,000 students. 3,000 students. I mean, I know with Professor Silva, I mean, back in the day, we had that class. It was a nice class size, but not everybody's so privileged. Absolutely.
That's why, thank God for these English majors.
Oh, yeah, but definitely there's a lot of cons in terms of that. Cheating. Cheating is a big thing.
Plagiarism.
So a lot of plagiarism. A lot of stuff can happen.
Not a lot of original work.
Absolutely. But at the same time, the pros of it is, like, as technology gets better, we'll have better ways to make sure the cheating isn't happening. We'll make sure students have more knowledge, so they're more engaged into it. So technology is definitely a great factor. It has pros and its cons, and it works itself out somehow.
It's like a yin and yang, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what type of assignments do you give your students?
So right now we're using CUNY Commons, so we're letting them blog. Anywhere from allowing them to be more comfortable shooting a video, to actually writing about things, how they feel about literature. We have something coming up where we analyze poems, and we go in depth about how the poems work, and using digital communication technology.
But you mentioned blogs, though. Don't some students don't know how to blog nowadays?
Yeah, that happens. The thing is, they don't know what a blog is, but I mean, that's where our class comes into play, because now it's making us comfortable showing ourselves to the digital world. You know how many times we might have watched a DiCaprio documentary about global warming and say, you know what, I wish I could go out there and do something online. We need to do something about it. Well, how do we do something about it? And once you ask these students that question, many times they'll get stumped. But they don't know they have a digital identity as well. I mean, you can go online and you can write freely, and the blogs are a nice way to open them up. It's like an icebreaker, kind of like, our interview here.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
Great work.
It's like, you remember how we had to write papers in the MLA format? We had to make sure we had no first person, second person.
Oh, yeah. And here you just get to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't like something, you could say what you feel. And honestly, that's one of the greatest ways to empower students. And digital humanities is great with it.
Because it gives them a sense of agency and identity and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So do you believe that technology will take over the job as a professor one day?
It may or may not. We understand that, technology will make it easier to read things and do math and science and and at the same time you could post one video online and have, 3 classes doing that through the online system. But, students will still need to, go to office hours. Like I used to go to Professor Silva's office hours and actually speak to her and say, what can we do to better or, get that personal human feel, that connection, that, intimate, relationship that you get, from that type of knowledge. So you'll definitely need some sort of instructor, but it's just a matter of how they're going to go about this process.
I remember Professor Silva used to be always a motivational figure for all her students and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I know you had a professor that you interviewed a few years ago from the teacher's education.
Yeah.
I remember she said, technology.
Professor Regina Messier.
Yeah, Regina Messier. There you go.
Yeah.
I remember she said that technology might take over. So technology might take over, and she likes technology to stay placed where it is. So I mean, it's interesting. A lot of teachers have different views on that.
It's gonna be like iRobot one day. We think technology might rise against us or something.
Absolutely.
And imagine the Terminator coming into life and everything.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
That's the scary part of technology.
Oh,
Let's just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're just keeping our fingers crossed there. We got to empower those students.
And imagine they create a Terminator or a cyborg and everything that takes over the world one day.
Yeah.
So what do you think about websites that help students educate themselves?
It's good because the thing is, many times I remember when I was a student back in the '90s. I might look like an ancient dinosaur, huh? In the late 2000s here, and you know, at the same time, I remember when I used to study. There used to be a certain way I used to study where I used to have to go to Kaplan and Princeton to try to get ready for the specialized high school exam.
AP exams, right?
Yeah. But I mean, now we would never have a way. We would have to actually buy the books or pay thousands of dollars of programs. But kids can now come home and go to Khan Education online and actually do math from YouTube and, you know, get better at the precision. So it helps you take something from the classroom and take it back home to, you know, strengthen your ideas, strengthen your hopes, dreams.
Because I remember as a student when I didn't know calculus or whatever, I used to go on Khan Academy.
Yeah.
And I used to break it down one word by word.
Hey, they do a great job. And it's great for the economic side of it, too. I mean, we all know, aside from education, the government has a lot to do with it. So getting funding, you know, if the government doesn't know we're doing it, then at the same time, there's no funding for it. And sadly, digital humanities, no matter how great we're getting there, we need to, you know, educate people on what it is.
So why do you think social media is prohibited in the classrooms? Is there any benefits or negatives to it?
Here it is. I mean, social media, you know, Twitter is instant news. We get it faster than we'll ever get it from CNN, and we'll get raw resources. You know, we'll know where everyone's going, how they're going, what they're taking, what they're eating. And it's great. But at the same time, there's the aspect of using that Twitter in class. Many times it's, you know, more about sneaker culture, for instance. They'll say, you know what, we got to buy the latest shoes, and we're just talking about sneakers and all this kind of other stuff. And it takes away a little from the classroom. And although I feel like maybe Twitter or Instagram with images, it's a valuable resource. Not in the classroom so far right now, but independent research for that classroom, for homework. Twitter's great. I mean, you could easily give 5 assignments to the students and say, you know what, give me the latest news from Twitter that's not even on CNN right now. You know, about fake news, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the great stuff. And, you know, you get the memes and the remix culture out of it too. So it doesn't hurt. You see a lot of raw material, and it's great for the class.
Because I remember back in my English 202 class and everything, and literary studies and everything, Professor Silva used to make us do live tweeting.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then we used to like bounce off thesis ideas and everything. We used to learn about post-colonialism, new criticism and everything.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a way to get a thesis idea, and like, you know how we struggle to come up with an essay and everything?
Right.
You could just use that nowadays and as your main source to get your ideas, because from students just like yourselves struggling for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I mean, you know, you work so hard at Professor Silva's class. Look at you, man. You got a real news media, and you're doing great work. So
Thank you.
definitely appreciate it.
DH news didn't come easily.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen the struggles, man.
Yeah.
And it was great TED Talks you had a couple years ago, too, man.
Yeah, because I had to go through all the pre-production stage with ABC News and everything.
Yeah, it's a
least
struggle.
we have a web series now.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's always going to get bigger and bigger and everything. So throughout your years as a student and professor, how has the orientation of technology changed in the classroom?
Oh, it's changed a bit. Before we used to have these weird projectors. We used to take a piece of paper, put it on, the light would hit it, and it would, you know, project it into like a, you know, a screen or something like that. And it was interesting because it wasn't a video or anything. It was just the professor's notes projected to make it seem like, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then we went from that to the rise of the digital world. Like internet was like, you know, booming at the time. We went from modems that, you know, you use the internet. Yeah, you can't even use the phone if you use the internet.
Sound and everything.
We went through the 90s, pop culture. And then, you know, we got there. I mean, remix culture is big because a lot of people say, hey, you know what, you're stealing information. But what happens if we're not? We're just sharing information and in a way that it's easier for people to reach. So it's definitely changed a lot, and it's for the good, sometimes for the bad, because sometimes it causes like inequality, and you know, sometimes it'll have like, you know, race involved and a bunch of other stuff. But at the same time, it's united us too. It's gotten us stronger, and it lets us know that we're one people.
But don't you think students feel afraid when using technology?
Yeah, no, they do. They do a lot because they don't know. Many times they feel like, hey, what happens if I put my true feelings on a blog? What happens if the government comes gets me? And it's tough because, yeah, we have policy in this country, and we're lucky that we have policy because people fight for this. You know, just like our fathers fought for our liberties. And you know, at the same time, you know, in different countries, it's tough. And you know, because they have a lot of censorship. You know, Syria over the years, and Russia, we need to work with each other, you know.
But do you think like blogging is like freedom of speech in a way?
Yeah, definitely, because you're just being yourself. Lately with the we have the Women's Rights marches that happen. Many times in the past, if women were to speak up, we'd have like a little the culture would be split. And now women actually have a platform to actually go out and share their feelings. I mean, they're really important in our culture, in our community. They bear our kids. They work so hard for the world, and it's nice to actually allow them platforms.
We should always cherish our women no matter what.
Definitely.
Because we all came from a woman, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if Michael Bolton's music wasn't heard by your mom, Michael Bolton wouldn't have been that great. We need the ladies to listen. So it's good stuff, definitely good stuff. And technology definitely helps us, with freedom of expression. And now it's just a way of how we express. That's the question.
So let's picture a utopia without no technology advancement. How would you picture it nowadays?
Oh man, that's tough. Because when I grew up, I used to still have to go to the park. And for a few years, I thought it was a great thing. I said, you know what, I miss that, going that human interaction. Because kids don't really like going to the parks anymore. They like playing Xbox and they talk through headphones and online and all that. But I mean, that utopia was different because the simple joy of just meeting a friend on a Friday to go watch a movie, it was great. But at the same time, you know what? Technology is also a great thing because we're advancing our knowledge and it's getting us ready for the future and how we're gonna make sure that the mistakes we make are not transpired to our kids. So that's nice that way. But a utopia without technology, huh? That's an interesting one. That's something we got to write about. We need to do future interviews, but. Fruits would be great, food would be great, but at the same time, at this point, I think in the world, we had a shift where we're gonna need technology in that utopia.
Because if you think about it, everything requires technology. Like if you watch a show how it's made,
Yeah.
just press a simple button and it makes everything.
Yeah, and that's the instant way of communication. Think about it. Before, when we would go watch those movies, we'd tell our friends, "Hey man, take the R train to 42nd Street, and I'll meet you right in front of that theater at 10:15." But then, if you miss that 10:15, you're 10:30. There's no way to find where your friend is. Payphones are, the quarters, and they don't even work. And but now with the cell phone, we text them from the train station.
Yeah, with the Wi-Fi built in.
Yeah, I'm getting right upstairs, and it's instant. So it's great. It's great.
But let's say, do you feel ever old, like how we're growing up with technology and everything, how our future generations will be like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. With video games now, that's a perfect example. My niece plays Pokemon Go. I don't even know how the thing works. I remember playing Pokemon on a Game Boy and I'd catch a thing, but now here they are with special equipment, and sometimes there's going to be like a gap. Definitely there's always a gap. We grew up in the technology world, but it doesn't make us the greatest with technology.
But we can always adapt to it.
Yeah, with like DH News, we have editors to help us, cut the videos and stuff. I know it'd be pretty hard to actually sit down and do that. You have to work hard to get that team.
Yeah.
So definitely, technology makes it difficult sometimes in that aspect. Like, as you get older, it might be hard to keep up with it. But, there's definitely got to be a medium where we can reach where it doesn't advance that much over the years. So, yeah, definitely.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's pleasure as always, man. Thank you for your time and, great stuff, Great stuff with your news organization. So keep up the good stuff.
Yeah, make sure to check the next episode coming up soon.
Oh, I definitely will, man. I definitely will. You have a great day then, all right?